Welcome everybody to Love with Prima. My name is Limor Webber, and today I'm going to be creating this fabulous layout. It's a gorgeous, very monochromatic Christmas layout. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera down and I'll show you some of the products that we'll be using, and then we will go from there. So welcome to those of you that are joining us that are brand new. Is anybody new today? Do we have anybody new? This layout will make you all chilly. It's like snowy and wonderful, right? All right, so why don't we get started with some of the paper and such, and we'll do the die cuts maybe last. So in order to create this layout, I use several different papers. And one of the things that's really great about Prima, like I've said before, is that you can take collections from all different places, and you will get, you can put together a fabulous layout with all different collections from different times. So this one in particular, look at the back side, it's Hello Pastel collection, and it's called Buttercream. And the back side, obviously I didn't use, but this gray piece I used a lot in my layout, which I will show you how I did that. Super pretty paper. And then this is from the Divine collection. And this one is Discover 950750. I did not use this side. However, I used the blue side, right? So you always want to look at both sides of the paper that you have, because they may match, other older collections that you may have. So I have several sheets of that. And then another one from the Divine collection that I used for die cutting was Delicate, and it's 850729. And I did use, I don't know if you can see, can the camera pick up those little squares? It's kind of like a grid. That's what I used for a lot of my embellishments, and I did not use this side. It had, the camera may not pick it up, but it does have a yellowy kind of stain, and it didn't really go with my layout. This is the page that I used for the background. Is this not stunning? It's like it's already bleached or something. And this one, and it's got the map in the back. It's called Destinations, and it's 950699. Okay. And then last but not least, I used this one right here, which is super fun. It's from the Divine collection, and it's 950460. And I used some of these fabulous, you can see that it's like snowflakes, right? And little doily. Okay, really easy. So you always want to take a look at what you have, because, here's three collections essentially. There's Divine, there's Hello Pastel, and what is this one again? Delight, right? So three different collections that totally go together, but never would have thought. So that's that. And then some of the fabulous embellishments that I'll be using tonight, these are the Say It in crystals. This one is from Tea Time, 560355, and I love them because they're now Prima's come out with them, and they're kind of already pre-cut. Before, you know how it was like a big one, kind of like this, right? And then you would have to like cut it, right? These are already cut, so it's so much fun. And then this one right here is another one of the newer ones. It's 563660. And I use this one right here, which is so pretty. Sorry about the light. Let me just, there. Is that a little bit better? Less glare? A little bit. Okay. There's that. And then I'm just pulling them out. Hang on. And then a couple other things that I used. I used these Junkyard Findings. These are the clock pieces. Clock hands, actually. 891589. Love these, you guys. They're so fabulous. I have 100 packages. I love them. I can't get enough. And then, of course, the clocks. Now, where did the clocks go? Did I not bring the clocks? I thought I brought the clocks. Maybe I didn't. Okay. The clocks, which I have extra ones right here. I could run and get one. But they look like this. Okay. They're all different clock hands. And Carrie can probably give you the the actual, they're so cute, the actual number. Okay, these are kind of my extra pieces. And then this flower right here that we'll be using is 571085 Clara. Really, really pretty. It's so, I just want to show it to you really quick. It's so lacy. Can you guys see how, like, it's burlap and then it's got this gorgeous lace? I love it. And it's so dimensional. So you could like ink this up and spray this puppy and make it so yummy. So really love this flower. And then this one right here is another new collection. It's Little Missy, 571702. Super cute. And two more. Frost Mini Sachet. This was last year's collection, or last CHA, I should say. Not last, but the previous one. And I love these white flowers because they go with everything. 565763. And then last but not least, the Prima Vine. It's a little bit of an older vine, but one of my absolute faves. Winter Branches Icicle, 543235. Is that not just stunning? So if you have this, you are so lucky. Okay. And then I use several punches and such, which I'll go through as we go along. Okay, you guys? So let's get started. I'm just going to grab my paper. And the background paper that I used again was this one right here. Okay. Fabulous. And so again, just for those of you that are just tuning in, here's the layout. Okay. Really, really pretty, right? All right, so we'll put that off to the side. Oh, actually, before I get started, let me show you some of the die cuts that we'll be using so that you know. Dies. The dies that I used here, this one's from Impression Obsession. And what is it called? I don't know what it's called. Die 021N. So, I don't know. One of my favorite dies right now are these color box dies. This is a Holly Vine, 98188. Really pretty. Another one is this one, which is Leafy Border, 98628. Gorgeous, right? And they cut like butter. That's what I love about them. And then this gorgeous little snowflake. It's called Precious Snowflake, 98729. And last but not least, this Cherry Lynn die. Can you see how intricate it is? And this one is, what is it? Victorian Romance Flourish. Okay, that's what the dies that I used are. All right, and I can most certainly tell you what they are again as we go along. So the first thing that we're going to do, I don't know if you can tell, but this layout is super layered. Can you guys see that? And I know it's probably a little bit hard to see, but it's super, super layered. And in order to kind of get that dimension, you need to layer, okay? And I know that you guys sometimes are afraid to do that, but you gotta just be brave. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna give a very quick fussy cut. Okay, so we're gonna cut. This is from, what paper is this? Divine Collection Couplet, 950460, and we're gonna do a very quick fussy cut, nothing too crazy. I probably could have done this off camera, but you know what? It's just one, so I didn't mind cutting this with you, except this is so not the fussy cutting scissors that I use. Those are serrated. Not good. There we go. Found my happy. You guys, I use these Fiskars. What is this called? Spring-loaded. And I do have carpal tunnel pretty bad on my wrists. And I find that these spring-loaded scissors are so, so awesome for me because I do have quite a bit of pain. There's times that I can't even hold my coffee cup. It hurts so bad. So I find that I like these a lot. And these are Fiskars. So if you can find them, I know that they're not overly cheap, but I've seen them at Michael's. And if you use, you know, a 40% off coupon, they're not too bad. So I kind of keep a stock of 3 of them. Look how fast that was, right? Super cute little doily, right? Okay, and then last but not least, let's just cut one of these cute little, what do you call these? Like a little star, like a little snowflake. That's what you call those winter things. They're called snowflakes, Limor. All right, and then once again, we'll just quickly fussy cut this guy out. I'm a pretty quick fussy cutter, so I thought, oh, should I do it on camera? Should I not? I'll tell you my little mishap today. I had die cut all those die cuts that you see right here. I don't know if you can see them. I die cut all of these, and I spilled an entire cup of coffee on them. And I had, I had prepped for this class already like 2 weeks ago, and so I was pretty upset that I had to do it last minute. It's my mishap of the day. I haven't had the swiftest morning. Let's just say that. It's just, those mornings where you put the sugar in the fridge instead of, the milk and, things like that. Yeah. It's like, where is my brain at? All right, almost done. Do we have any questions? Sorry, I'm trying to look at the chat and fussy cat, but that doesn't really work. Carrie can text me if there's questions, okay? All right, so we're done with those. Super duper fun, right? All right, now the next thing that we want to do is we want to take, I want to show you how I created this frame, which is kind of like the center of our layout. This is kind of what we're going to go off of. So all I did is out of that same, not the same paper, actually, I did it out of this paper right here, which is the Hello Pastel, this grape piece, which is buttercream. What I did is I cut a piece, okay, and it's a 4x6 because this photo is 4x6. So what I did is 4x6, and then I measured. Can you guys see? Sorry, it's out of focus. Can you see the line that I created? This is just pencil. And what I did is I measured 1/4 of an inch from each side, and then I drew the line to create a square. So now really all you need to do is you need to take, sorry about that, you need to take your cutter, and you can use the Prima cutting tool, which is awesome. Sometimes I use it for other things, so the blade gets a little wonky. Okay. And then what I like to do, actually, I like to take a ruler when I do something like this so that I don't go away from the line, right? And then I just create my own little frame. You know what I was doing with this tool yesterday? I was flicking paint off of my palette, so it got a little bit bent. Just so hilarious. I shouldn't be doing that. But it's so sharp, I use it for everything. And then I just, again, I use my ruler. Oops, see? I cut a little bit off. That's okay, half of that is going to be covered anyway. Okay, just like that. I should probably replace the blade because I really dulled it when I was flicking the paint yesterday. I bent the blade, that's what I did. But this is like the sharpest tool ever. It's my absolute favorite knife on the planet. Okay. Just like that. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And last but not least, right here. This layout, as soon as we have everything together, will go so fast. Just so cool. All right. So then you poke this piece out. Okay. And then you have your little frame. You can use this for something else. Okay. That's how easy that is. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your photo. This is just a 4x6 photo. Okay. And you're going to actually pop dot this, or foam dot it. Not pop dot, foam dot. And what I mean by foam dot, let me grab ones that's a little bit higher because the ones I have here are a little bit low and I don't like those. So I don't know if you know, but there's different heights. This one is, does it say, like some of them, I don't know if you can actually see them, but when you get foam dots, can you guys see the height difference? You probably can't. But anyways, these are significantly more flat than these ones. And I like the really dimensional ones. So all you need to do is you're going to put some foam dots all along, and do Try to space them out evenly, you guys, because when you don't and you're stingy with your foam dots, once you start adding layers, you'll see that it'll kind of cave in and your layout will look weird. So my recommendation is don't be too stingy with your foam dots. I know that you guys get a little nutty about that, but you know what? Sometimes you just need to, for certain things like this, you just need to use them, okay? And I know that sometimes even, you know, you can find some of these at the dollar store. So, or, you know, even the tape, the roll, right? So you could just go ahead and do that, right? So then we're just going to pop that off. Can you believe there is no mixed media today? Tonight. On tonight's Tuesday show, on my show tonight, I'll do mixed media, I promise. All right, I already got messages today. I can't believe you're not doing mixed media. And you don't have to be like totally perfect to get this on, because you know, for the other one, most of it is going to be covered anyway. But here you have this cute little frame, right? And it just adds a little something, right? Now, I already die cut a couple of these guys, right? Of those flourishes. And this is what's going to actually create my beautiful frame that I have right here. Just like I'll show you in the original layout. This is what kind of creates that beautiful finished look. And so, oh, see, all this stuff just pokes right out. And because I had to die cut all of this, I didn't poke all those out, which I can do hopefully very quickly right here. They just pop right out, but sometimes they take like a little bit. If not, I can do it after. They pop out after because I'm not putting a whole lot of glue anyway, but at least let's pop the main ones out. All right. And you could totally use these. I mean, the ones that come out are so pretty. So I love this flourish one. It's actually one that I use significantly often in my classes and such when I teach overseas. Okay. So there's that. People love this one. All right. Look how easy that is. Look how beautiful, right? So this one's going to go about right here. And then the other one, let's just poke this one out. Like I said, they do poke out fairly easy. They're just, you just have to watch because they're so thin that you don't want to rip them when you're poking it out. Whoops. As it goes flying out of my hand. Sorry, I wish I could do this faster for you guys. I get all weird about when my stuff is not prepared fast enough, because I know that when I watch a show, I like to have things, I'd like the instructor to go fast. It's just how I work, so I apologize if this is a little bit slower than usual for you. I'll try not to spill my coffee on all my stuff next time, so that you don't have to painfully watch me poke some of these buggers out. All right. I'm not doing all of them because otherwise I'm going to bore you to tears. All right, good enough. All right. So there's that. And there's this guy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue. And this is just Beacon 3-in-1. Okay. And I like to put just glue right here. Okay. Just right there on the corner. And then I can kind of play with it so it's not right on Hannah's head, right? The poor flourish is not on her head. I used a different photo right here, so I didn't have to worry too much. But with this one, I kind of do. So here I do want to paste it down just a tiny bit, so I'm just going to add a tiny bit of glue. And because it dries clear, I'm not too worried about what it's going to look like after. Okay, just like that. And then we'll do the same thing right here. Fabulous. Okay, so there's one little frame, and then the second frame goes right here. And this photo was also taken at Christmas time, which is why I'm using it. In fact, my girlies, they were so cute. I don't think it was last year, maybe the year before. Maybe it was last year. What they did for their grandma is they got dressed up in all different costumes for every day or every month. So they did it 12 times, right? Because there's 12 months. And they made her a calendar. And I thought it was just so cute. So here's the little frame, right? Really easy to do, right? With any die cut really that you have. So now what we're gonna go do is we're gonna start kind of assembling a little bit of our layout. Just a little bit, not all of it. And so now this is gonna go about right here. This guy is gonna go about right underneath, okay? And then this right here is gonna go about right here. But before we do that, we're gonna take this paper right here that we have left over. This is from the it's Divine Collection Delicate. And I'm gonna take one of my punches. This one right here. It's a very old Martha Stewart. Can't believe I'm saying that name. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. I'm not getting anything started. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and punch out a small border. That's gonna go on the top. Okay, this punch is almost dying on me. So it's like, it's on its last legs, you guys. It is not good. I think I've used it so much. So much. And it's gonna go right here, so I don't actually need a whole lot. And so I'm gonna measure about right there. It's gonna kind of poke out a little bit. And this is how much I measure. Okay, you guys, you guys know, for those of you that have taken my classes before, I don't measure anything, right? Because who needs to measure? Come on. Unless it's like, you know, a perfect mini album, no need for measuring. All right. Just like that. And I just want to have it poke out just a little bit. All right, just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to put some foam dots. I probably could cut it down a little bit, but it's okay. And this adds just a tiny bit more dimension. Okay. And I'm not taking it out yet, but this is kind of going to sit right there just like this. Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is more layers. I'm going to take one of my doilies, and you guys know I like to preserve, so I am going to cut it right in half. And this doily is going to go right here, just like so. Okay. Starting to come together, right? And then we're going to take a piece of, this is the Discover, and we're going to use another punch. And I actually really love this punch. This is, what is this, EK Success? EK Success punch, and it's like the double one. Can you guys see? So you can actually get just like that single layer, or you can get it as a border. Okay, so it's whatever you want, right? And so you just, I'm going to leave it at the border because that's kind of what I want. And I'm going to stick it right in. So we're going to go right here. Okay. And it really punches really nicely. And you just line it up. It leaves a big mess though, just so you know. I'm going to have to clean up my layout here in a minute. Oh, come on, baby. There we go. And then I'm just going to cut that out. Okay. Just like that. Leaves a very, very big mess on my layout. And then this guy is going to go right underneath, just to give it one more layer. Okay, just like that. You can't see a whole lot of it, but you can see a little bit. And actually this guy is going to go out just a little bit. The doily needs to be in so that you can see still some of the ruffles. And most the stark lines are going to be covered by all the vines anyhow, so I'm not too worried about that piece at all. Okay, and then this guy's going to poke about right here. Okay, and we can probably start putting some of these down right now, but we need one more to go underneath, and then we're good to go. Okay, so one more time, baby. we'll do it on the side here so we don't create so much of a mess. Fabulous. Just cutting some of the pieces off. And we don't need too much. We need just a little bit. So I'm going to cut some of it off, okay? And the rest will kind of get tucked right underneath there, okay? So can you see it's starting to kind of come together, right? And I know projects get done much faster when, I mean, we prep for these classes so we can get these layouts done lickety-split, which I know that you guys are wondering, how did you put that together so fast sometimes, right? That's how. Okay, let's go ahead and start pasting these down because we can. All right, so I'm just going to apply some of my beacon glue. This goes really quick. This part does. Okay, just like that. And then I'm actually going to lift this up. This one's going to go over right there. Perfect. Do we have any questions, anybody? I know that it's hard for me to watch the chat, so you got to let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. All right. And then this guy, I just kind of place it first before I place this guy down, because then I don't know how it's going to go. And then this guy too. Okay. So then let's add a little bit of blue right there. And I kind of just place all three together. It's going to go about right there. Something like that. Okay. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And then this guy can go now. And usually I foam dot it, but I'm not going to right now because I think it's dimensional enough. See all the layers, you guys, right? Layer, layer, layer. Layer, layer, pants on fair. Okay. Ignore my stupidity, please. If you've never seen my show, I apologize already for my darkiness. All right, so here we go. There's that. And just watch that it's really down. But can you guys see so far? This is what we got. Really simple, right? But really coming together. Okay, so now comes the fun part of layering. Now we're going to start layering them all this way, okay? And I really did want to keep this monochromatic, which means like, you know, like two tones, right? Hang on, we need a sip of coffee. I put it in a mug so that I wouldn't spill. Watch me, I'll spill anyway. All right, the next piece that we're going to do is we're going to start creating this piece right here, which is this piece, okay? So we're going to grab another, we're going to grab this again, and we're going to do that same punch that we just finished doing, okay? And we're going to, actually, I'm going to cut this piece right here. So when you're creating a monochromatic layout, my suggestion is start going through your stash and seeing all the colors that kind of match, and then pull it together, and then pick, you know, one or two patterns, right? Or three patterns that kind of go together, and that can be what you use for your monochromatic layout. All right. And don't incorporate any other colors. I know sometimes it's kind of hard, but it's really fun at the end. In the end, as you can see, monochromatic layouts look very pretty. Okay. And then I just cut right here. All right. Just like that. And so this guy is going to go right here, right underneath. All right. And if I have some left over, I just go ahead and cut it out. But actually, I only need about that much. Okay. And don't worry about your imperfect line, because that's going to get covered right now. The next punch I have, I'm using a lot of punches and dies today, which is not usual for me. This is another one of those punches from EK Success. Really gorgeous. It doesn't have the two-step, okay, but it does have, it closes really cool, right? Like right here in the back, and then it's nice and flat. So I really like this. I really enjoy this punch quite a bit. And with this guy, I'm actually going to use, this is another paper from the Divine Collection, and it was just leftover paper, and I think it kind of goes, so I'm going to use it right now because I think it's really fun, and it'll add a little bit of a different teal. And so it's, the punch is not hard, it's my hands. Okay, I have a really hard time. Oh, and now it's stuck. Just as I said how much I love this punch, my punch got stuck. Do you ever have that happen? Oh, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Of course, right? Shoot. I hate it when that happens. I don't know why it happened either. There we go. Weird. Weird. Hopefully it doesn't happen on the next one. There we go. There must have been a piece of paper or something stuck in there. Oh, there it happened again. I think it just has paper stuck in there. Probably should clean them out every once in a while, right? Okay. And then I love this guy because you can literally punch him right out. Right? How cute is this? So, so pretty. I love this punch. And then this punch is going to be pop dotted right here. So we're going to take our foam dots. This one could be a little bit too big. We need our thinner ones. Where'd they go? Right here. I love these thin ones. And you can get, of course you can get many different sizes. I'm going to go about right there. So I'm going to cut about this piece off. Okay. I don't need to use all of my foam dots. Okay, just like that. All right. This is going to go right there, and it's going to be pop dotted. Just a little trick that I do, you guys. The reason that I never put glue on the edges of my photos is so that I can always tuck things underneath. Just a little tip from Limor. I forgot to glue this guy down, but it's kind of glued down now that I put foam dots on that other guy, so it's down now. All right, just like that. Can you guys see that? Really pretty, right? See, can you guys see the dimension of it? All right, now we're going to start adding a little bit more layers, and this is where kind of our die cuts come in. All right, add our flowers and all that stuff. So let's do the flower first. So what I did with this flower, and again, for those of you that came late, this flower is Clara, and it's 571085. And I took this, but the brown, as you notice, doesn't really go, does it? So what I've done is I've taken the clock faces, right, that I showed you earlier. And here's one right here. And we're going to put that right on top. All right. And then we're going to take one of our clock hands. Come on. Come on out, baby. I don't like to open the package all the way so that they don't fall out. A little bit lazy that way. I don't want to fix it later. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead. You can use a glue dot, but because I have glue right here, that's all I'm going to use. Okay, and we'll just put it right in the center. And then this is an older Say It in Crystal Pearls. I can't even see it. Something strip green, 530518, and it's kind of like a bluey green. So I'm going to take one of the what do you call them, centers. This guy, he might be a little bit too big. I might want to take the little one. This guy, and we're going to put him right in the center. Okay, and so now you've kind of altered your flower. So we're going to add glue on the back. Really easy, right? Now you've altered your flower and you don't have to worry about the brown, right? How easy is that? Okay, so this guy's going to go about right there. All right, but we're going to start adding some vines and cutting them up and doing all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm going to bring all my flowers. All right, so here's my flowers. And we also want our Satan crystals. So we're going to need these. And so we're going to start by this guy right here. So this guy right here, which again is 563660. And we're going to use this guy right here. And I'm going to cut it because that's what I do. I cut things. And I'm going to just kind of measure about right there. I thought it was going to get tucked anyway, so who cares, right? So this guy is going to go right there. And I love these Satan crystals. They're so pretty. So pretty. Just like that. Okay. So that's the first piece. This piece we're going to leave on the side for a moment. And then let's start with the vines, because once we have the vines, we can kind of start plugging things in. So this vine again is Winter Branches Icicle 543235. Yeah, clock hands. This is clock hands 891589. Is that what you were asking? Okay. So when I get the vines, I just kind of like to open them up a little bit. All right. And we're really going to cut these up. Like really, 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 really. And I have no idea how I cut it up in the first time, but that's kind of, don't laugh, but that's kind of what happens is when you start butchering them, it's like, I have no idea how I butchered it the first time, so we're gonna, recreate it, okay? I'll recreate it for you. But usually what I do is I cut the first piece about right there, okay? And you gotta use kind of sharp scissors. So this guy's gonna go about right here, okay? It's gonna be our first little piece right there. And then we're going to use one of these leaves as well, but we're going to cut just the leaf, okay? Because he's going to kind of get tucked in. Oh, come on, baby, come out. There we go. He's going to be about right here with other flowers. And then I love to use these little guys right here. And so we're going to use this guy with one of the leaves as well, okay? And he's going to kind of get tucked in underneath our flower. So he's going to go about right here. And then we're going to use one more, which is this guy that's kind of left over right here. I actually do remember how I did this. It's not shocking. This guy's going to go about right here with some flowers. Okay, we'll place them better in a moment. And then this lonesome guy, this poor little lonesome guy, he's going to go about right up here. Okay, somewhere around there, just about right there. Now, what you'll notice is you always have some leftover stuff, right? Which is so much fun because you can use it on another layout at another time. Okay, so I will have some left over, but I do want to use these little guys, these little gems, because I think they're so cute. So we'll definitely use these up about somewhere right there. So now that we kind of have that set up, we can start going ahead and adding some more layers on top of it. So now what I like to do is I like to take my flowers, and these are Little Missy 571702. And then I'm just going to take one of these and start plugging them away until I can kind of get the layer that I want. All right, so about right there, that's pretty cute. So let's go ahead and glue this down because I think I kind of like the way that it's going to go. And I just put glue, by the way, on the branch so that I can continue manipulating it as I go, because if I don't like it, I'm going to kind of go back and move it around a little bit. Okay, so that's just a little tip that I do when I create this, just so you know. Move it up just a tiny bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and add this flower just right there. Okay, just like so. Have it poke out just a little bit. Okay, and then the little leaf right here, we're going to add him as well. Okay. And I always do my dies, my die cuts at the end because they're like a filler. That's how I see them, right? So you guys, you should always cut your vines because they will go a long way that way. That's a promise. And then I just go like this, tuck that right underneath there. Okay, just like so. And then this guy right here. Come on, baby. Where are you? Oh, I got a message. What was the last tip? What tip did I give you? Oh, shoot. What was the tip that I see? I have so many tips, I forget what they are. What was the tip that you guys asked me? Oh, shoot. What was I talking about? What did I say? What tip did I give you? Oh, the branch. I think I only said I like to glue just the branch, like just the middle, and then so that I can still continue to manipulate the leaves all around. Okay, so if if it's covering something, I can still, because they're on wire, I can continue to just move it, right? So when you apply only, and if you're doing a leaf like this, maybe only apply a little bit to the edge. All right. Yeah. So that was my little tip. Sorry, I couldn't remember. I have so much stuff going on in my head, right? Okay, and then I'm going to take one more of these guys. And don't you guys just love Prima flowers? I love them. There's nothing better, honestly. There just isn't. I'm in love with them. I look at my flowers all the time. Do you guys do the same thing? I don't know. Is that a Limor weird thing? I'm going to cut this guy off and tuck him inside a little bit because I think he's popping out a little bit too much. Don't be afraid to cut your stems, you guys, okay? To make it, the way that you want it to look, all right? Just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. All right. And then there's that guy. And then we're going to tuck him about, is that the same text? Yes. Okay. And we're going to tuck him about right here with a little bit of a leaf. All right. Just like that. And then we're going to take this guy and put him on top. Just like that. Do you see it's totally coming together? And then this right underneath. Looks like this layout is coming alive. It's coming alive. Can you guys see that so far? Right? The art of layering. I don't know where this came from. The art of layering. Right? Really simple. Now, the only thing it really needs is some of the other embellishments or the other dies. So the first die that we're going to put on here is this guy right here that I had cut, that I had shown you. But we're going to cut his little bow right off, right? And we're actually going to add him to, remember that snowflake we had cut? All right, so we're going to put a little bit of glue right here, just like that. We're going to add him right there, okay? And then we're going to take one of our gems, one of our gems that I had earlier, which I had now put away. Here we go. Here we go, here we go. And we're going to add him right to the top there. Can you see that? Now it's the cutest little snowflake. And then all we need to do is add a little bit of foam dots to the back. My buried foam dots. Just add a few. You don't need too many on this. Okay. Yes, snowflake punch does totally work as well. Okay, and this guy's going to go right there. Can you see that? Cute, right? All right. And then the next one is going to go, where did I put the other one? Did it get buried in here? Here it is. They're so thin sometimes they're hard to see. So I'm just going to punch that thing out. I love these memory box dies. They're fun. And then this guy, I'm going to put a little foam dot in the back. I'm going to leave the bow. And then I'm going to add him right here. Okay. So that he kind of hangs. And then I'm going to give him another little gem right in the center. Right there. Okay. Kind of becoming a little wintry layout now, right? Slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. Okay, so we can get rid of these flowers. Now we're going to continue our filler in a moment. But first, let's start with our dies, okay, that we have pre-cut. So this one right here is super thin and really easy. That was the holly. And I'm actually going to cut it right in half, okay? And the first half is actually going to go right about here. Okay, I'm going to tuck him right in. And I just add a little bit of glue on the tip. That's it. I actually like him floating a little bit. Okay, so we're going to tuck him about right there, just like so, because there's going to be another leaf going right here. We're going to take this guy right here, and let's poke some of the those things out. Sometimes when you take them out of the machine, those things don't quite pop right out, but there's not that many, so just take your little poker or your Prima tool, since it's my favorite thing on the planet to play with, as you guys learned at the beginning of the show. And we're going to tuck him right in here. And there's already glue right there, so I'm actually just going to slide him right in, okay, and have him poke right out. Can you guys see that? How it starts to fill the page a little bit, okay? It's like there's real branches coming out, okay? And then by the way, I always cut this at the end. I don't know why. It's a habit of mine. I'm going to just tuck him a little bit more so that I cut a little bit of that branch off. Just a little bit so that when I cut that piece off, I don't have to worry about it going anywhere. All right, perfect, 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 perfect. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and add some of my Say It in Crystals bling. Okay, and because these are already pre-cut, I love that. Okay, so I just take one and I tuck him right underneath there. You guys see that? It's subtlety, right? And then this guy is going to be right there, almost coming out of the branch. Can you see that? Just gives it a little something something, right? And then we're going to tuck another one of these little guys, okay, that we've cut. Oh, I had one here already. So we're going to poke him out. Just poking all those little centers right off. Okay, fabulous. And I don't need the whole thing, so I'm actually going to cut some of him off. So about right, that extra branch right off. And we're just going to tuck him in right here. Tucking is really easy, because it just kind of fills all those dead spaces, right? Dead spaces all of a sudden become full and beautiful. And one of the reasons that I don't put glue all the way is because then I can go ahead and kind of bend them and give them a really dimensional look. Can you see that? How I bent it and now it's kind of sticking up? And that gives it like that full look, right, that you're going for. Okay, now we want to, this guy, did I glue this down? No, I didn't. Okay, so we're going to glue this guy down now. I kind of do that last, usually. Okay, put a little bit of glue right there, and we're going to take another one of our guys and poke all those little guys out. Just doing it off camera, sorry guys. Okay, and we're going to tuck him right underneath here. The leafy border, this guy is, I will tell you. Okay, so we've got this guy is Impression Obsession, and it's called Die 021N. And then this one was Hollyvine 981888. Okay, and I'll give you the other ones in just a moment. The leafy border was this guy, which we haven't quite used yet. Okay, and it's 98628. All right, so there's that. Now this guy, the other piece that was left over from the holly, we're going to add it right in here. Just right there to make it a little bit more full. Just like so. All right. And then right here, we still need like a little blingy bling. So we're going to take another one of our swirly whirlies, Satan crystals. I call them swirly whirlies. I don't know why. Just ignore me. And we're going to add it right there. I may move him a little bit in a moment because I need to add another one of those leaves. Another leaf is going to go about right there. So let me poke that out. Poke, poke, poke. Okay. Do we have any other questions so far? I know Carrie is texting me with your questions, so I'm trying to answer them as best as possible. And then we're just going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue. And we're going to tack this guy. I'm going to move this. And we're going to actually have him come right there. And then I'll tack this guy in again. There we go. That's much better. Okay. Do you see how full it's becoming? Isn't that pretty? And then I have this guy still left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut him right out of the border piece per se. Okay. So that I have this left over. And then this guy is going to come right in here. So I'm going to lift that leaf and he's going to go right over the top as an extra little leafy piece. Okay, and then I don't really want him to flap around too much. So what I'm going to do is at the edge of it, I'm just going to have him, I'm going to put a foam dot and I'm going to have him sit right there. Okay, probably shouldn't use a black one, but that's okay. Good enough. And this can kind of be moved over just a tiny, tiny bit. All right, can you guys see this so far? Like how full and beautiful is that layout? I love it. And so we really just have literally one last thing. And the last thing is a cute little title. So I love this cute little stamp set. This is from the Wishes and Dream collection. And it's 970178. It says, never give up, reach for the stars, dreams come true. Okay. So I really like Dreams Come True because it is a Christmas layout. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm just going to take my chalk ink, which I put away for some odd reason. Okay. And these are my favorite. This is Black Coal by Inkveld Boom. Love these. Love, love, love. Okay, and we're just going to ink it up. And I'm so bad, I never use a, what do you call it? A block. Probably should. But I don't, especially for words. Isn't that gorgeous? And if you want it a little bit darker, what I actually do, this is just a little tip, you guys. Whoa! Hello, flying chalk inks in the house. Just a second, I gotta grab it before it dries out on me. We got flying chalk inks everywhere. What I like to do, you guys, this is just a little tip. I usually take like a little marker. If it doesn't quite, or one of these, you know, Pitt Artist pens, if it's not quite dark enough sometimes, I can just go ahead and just with very lightly go over it with a black thin tip pen or marker. so that the title pops out just a little bit more. Because you know sometimes stamping can be a little bit, depending on your surface, it doesn't always turn out perfect. So, and if you don't use a block like me, you tend to have a lot more mistakes, correct? So this just kind of pops. You can see the one that I've done and the one that I didn't. It just pops it a little bit more, right? So that is the layout, my friends. Did you guys enjoy that? And I do have a couple announcements before we go. So let me just switch the camera and I'll do the announcements. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. So a couple announcements. The first one is we have, I'm sure Carrie has already spoken your ear off about it, but we have Canada Art Venture. And you guys, all you need to reserve your spot is $50 down. That's it. Okay, and just so you know, because we've had so many questions being asked, the fees do include hotel accommodations, all of your meals, goodie bags, which trust me, they're always ridiculous, amazing, and make and takes, the crop space, and not to mention the 6 ridiculous awesome classes. And it'll be myself, Carrie, and Jamie. Okay, the kits are going to be packed with amazing stuff. So there's only limited spaces, and I know we're starting to fill up. So if you're interested, definitely get your deposit down before all the spaces are gone. And then one more announcement. For those of you that don't know, I leave for Australia November 11th, and there's still some spots left in the Sydney location, I believe, and there may be one more location that may have 1 or 2 spaces left. So if you guys are from Australia and you want to come to my classes, please head on over to my blog. If Carrie can put my blog information down, that would be great, because all the locations are on there and you can just go ahead and click on them and it'll take you to where to register. Okay, like I said, there's not that many spaces left, so head on over quick before we close it off. All right, and last but not least, the next show is the fabulous Steph Miller creating a ridiculously amazing project for the holidays. I believe it's a stocking gift holder and mini, of course. And it's at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right. So be sure to check that out on the next live with Prima. Yeah. So I'm just going to stop the recording for those of you that are watching the recording. Thank you for joining me.